Hello, good morning, and welcome to Real Talk with Tamara. As you guys come into the room, please do hit the like button. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. Hope that you guys are doing okay. I know that I am. I always express the importance of hitting the like button because the like button helps keep the video on the algorithm. Okay, so like, share, subscribe, comment, all of those good things, okay? This morning, I wanted to talk about will this be a lesson to others? What happened to Straight Drop? Of course, we know that yesterday the judge threw the book at Straight Drop, okay? And I'm not on here to consistently beat up on Straight Drop because I actually hate that this happened all together, right? I would have loved to see Straight Drop be out with his child and um, being successful. I would have loved to see him be the next big thing on CMG. Okay, if that's what he wanted. But unfortunately, he felt like the only way to do that was to sell his soul. Okay, was to come up off of the back of another man who had gotten it out of the mud and um built a life for himself and his family, right? And that was a young Dolph. And that's why I say, and because of that, because he sold his soul and he felt like destroying another life was the only way for him to do it. It came back around. You have to reap what you sow. And so when you do things of this nature, you start destroying lives. It never works out the way that you think, And I hate, unfortunately, it took him getting 100, well, not 100 years. It took him getting 50 plus years, right? 50 plus 35, which would be 85 years. And he would be eligible for parole when he's 70 years old. Okay. He's 26 years old, so it's very hurtful. I'm sure that is devastating to his mom. He has a sister. I'm sure all of this, people that were not involved in this is extremely hurtful to them. Okay. These are the people that would love him the most. When he's 70 years old, he will if he lives that long and he comes up for parole, they'll parole him because all of us would have gone on that have talked about this would have gone on. If he's lucky enough to be alive, he'll be paroled. Um, that's in 44 years. Um, and his daughter would be almost 50 years old, right? His mother, his sister, and them probably would have, gone on, not, passed on. So it's sad that he's going to miss all of the important things because he felt like this was the only way. He allowed them to dangle um, money and wealth in his face, and he thought that he could actually pull through. And I always tell this story. I always tell it because I want for people to understand. I understand a lot of the young dudes, especially from around the Memphis area, look at my videos, and I always um talk the way that I talk because I hope that I'm getting through to them, right? Even when I'm talking crazy and stuff, there's always a message in the madness, okay? And I know most people believe in God or a higher power, okay? I definitely believe in God. And what's going on in the industry, as I've been saying forever, is no different than what went on in the Bible days when the devil tried to tempt Jesus, right? When he tried to tempt Jesus when Jesus was fasting and he um, told Jesus that he would give him the world, he would give him everything he wanted if he would just eat when Jesus was trying to fast. And Jesus said something that was very profound to the enemy. He says, Satan, we shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Now, that's something profound because we always hear people talking about bread gang. We getting our bread. We about that bread. I must eat. And we see even back in those days that the enemy was offering the glamour, the gold, everything that Jesus, he tried to tempt him if he could just get him off of track to break that fast, okay? So that and eat the bread to eat. And that's how you break a fast, right? And Jesus said, "We shall not live by bread alone." And it's so unfortunate because a lot of people have made getting money, getting bread their God, right? And we're seeing what is happening. And so, like I said, I hated for his parents and stuff, but I also hated for Young Dolph's family. Young Dolph was not supposed to be not here. I don't know the reasons for Big Jook not being here, but I definitely hate that for him too. Um, I wanted to see if I could find that. Y'all know I don't know if this thing is still acting up. Um, hold on. um when Jesus was in the desert. And I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of times when we're fasting and stuff, our body is weak. And a lot of times, and I equate that too. And I get so emotional because I came up out of South Memphis, right? We was poor, but at that time we didn't know we was poor because, um, I mean, we understood back in that time that family was everything. We was just glad to be able to make molasses sandwiches and cheese toast sandwiches and get that from the commodity and all of that um, egg sandwiches and stuff. We were just happy to be able to do that. Um, and so when I get mad when I say, these people that have been fortunate enough to come up out of these hoods in Memphis, ain't nobody got to tell me how the people living in South Memphis. Okay, even though we had to go up to BTW the other day for something, I started looking at the houses, that they're rebuilding down through there. I was very proud, but it's still, if you start going down towards Mississippi and all of that, it's still, those houses could use some work. And so people don't have to tell me how a lot of people are living in South Memphis. I came up in South Memphis. I know that a lot of people are not you know, um, living as I would love to see them living, right? Because I like to see people living good, okay? And the exact same thing for North Memphis. So it's very hurtful to me and any other area within in the city of Memphis. So it's very hurtful to me when I see people around the um that's able to make it up out of the city of Memphis, right? And become very successful, especially in the industry. If you're going to reach back, don't reach back and bring destruction. Nobody has to tell you that these little dudes are starving or that they're hungry or that especially if they want to get into the industry. You already know how these folks living because you came up out of these areas, right? But this right here has been happening forever. I don't know. I'm not going to show all of it because I don't know if for some reason it's something going on with the mic, and it's definitely the mic. I'm gonna y'all see the snake is sliding up beside Jesus. I'm doing this for a reason, y'all. I so want to see these young dudes do well. Lord up in heavens knows I do. I don't care what areas they come from in Memphis. I don't want them to take the bait. And I want anybody that feels like because they have made it up out of those conditions and they start dangling stuff in their face so that they can be their hit men and stuff. I want them to be destroyed by any means necessary. Okay. But let's keep watching. Okay, so I'm showing this because in this represents Jesus being in the wilderness after fasting. When you're fasting, you're hungry, you're weak. We see a lot of dudes in these areas, right? That come up in the hoods. They're hungry, right? They're hungry. A lot of them are desperate. You know what I mean? So let's keep going. We see the snake sliding up beside Jesus.
Satan.
Here comes the deceptor, which is Satan, okay? In all black.
If you are the Son of God, command that this stone becomes bread. Man shall not live by bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. If God loves you, throw yourself down. His angels will lift you up with their hands. How dare you put God to the test? If you will bow down and worship me, I will give you the whole world.
He told Jesus, bow down and worship me, and I'll give you the whole world. I'll make you my king. I'll give you anything you want that is of this world. That's what the record labels are doing to these young men.
Crucify him! Get away from me, Satan. I worship the Lord, my God, and serve him only.
It says, for we do not, hold on, for we do not have who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are. Yet he did not. Okay. And so that's what these guys got to get to the point where they don't allow the tempter and the snake and the deceiver to slide up beside them, as Straight Drop did. Unfortunately, a young man who had everything going for him, extremely handsome. As I said, even if he was not that good of a rapper, he could have commanded attention if he had just been trained instead of putting a gun in his face to go take out another young man who had put in the work because of their jealousy. They could have put him on the stage. The young women would have came to him because he's a handsome young man. Okay, wherever the women are, they would have drawn, or wherever the pretty girls be, the men that are straight, they coming to him. Okay, and so it's so unfortunate that a lot of people are allowing the devil, which is the music industry. It's been happening since the Bible days, to deceive them, and they are destroying their own lives. They're putting they think that they can they're building sand castles, right? They're putting money and fame, before they put their own families, before they put their own life, their freedom, their livelihood. They don't think about their mothers. Oftentimes, I've worked in the criminal justice system forever. When these young men go to jail and they get these type of sentences, their mothers, who really are the truly the only ones that's gonna stay in their corners, because their girl gonna go get somebody before the trial over. Okay, what's going to end up happening is their mothers and stuff start to get sick immediately. They start having health problems because of all of their stress and stuff, knowing that their child is going to be behind that wall for the rest of their life. It worries their mother. So, will this be a lesson? I say to these young men and young women, start putting yourself first. Because if somebody really mess with you the long way, you ain't got to go and ruin your life and bring all of that bad karma to you and your family, right? Just to get a deal. They're going to give you that deal. You ain't got to go out and be no hitter, right? We see what the devil said, just bow down and worship me, okay? And I'll give you the world. That's what the record industry, unfortunately, is saying to these young men that are living in these hoods that they know is hungry, just like Jesus was in the wilderness after he was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. He was hungry, he was weak. And so the enemy comes to them with unheard of stuff. They knew Cornelius was on drugs. He was weak and they knew he was hungry. And they tricked him out of his position, right? The snake, right? The deceiver slid up next to him and tricked him out of his position. And that is exactly what's going on, right? And so I pray for all of these young people. I pray for all of these young men. I pray that you know, label heads such as a young Dolph, who is about creating generational wealth, will start to rise up, right? That's why I told you all when I first got on here almost 3 years ago, when people didn't want to believe me, I said, let me tell y'all something. I was told by a very credible source, when folks were saying the FBI ain't involved, I said they involved. Because I was told by a very credible source that the FBI says that ain't nobody spending no hit money but the lawyers. Who been spending the damn hit money? Nobody but the lawyers. And I said, they said they're gonna drain the swamp. They're gonna drain the swamp. And draining the swamp is getting to the money. What have they been doing? We see it with dirt. Even though Thug is out, he's on 15 years. He could violate any day. Hopefully he don't. But they sure drained him. They sure drained him. He took a hit, but he's just glad to be out. I'm sure he could recoup it back, but he took a hit. Okay. And they got him on 15 years of paper. If he sneezed wrong, he could go do them 40 years, right? So, hey, listen, I want these young men that's got the talent to do it right. Okay, I want them to do it right. And when I was talking about yesterday, because I don't know anything about the Fast Cash Boys, I was not saying that they were doing anything to paper routes. I was saying that according to my sources within the police department, they had intel because that the Fast Cash Boys were being um what's the word that I'm looking for? They were being courted allegedly, from what I was told, they was being courted to try to trick them out of their position to go against paper route. I don't think that happened. I think the Fast Cash Boys are still doing their thing because people were saying those boys were hot. They were hot and they really didn't really need nobody, need to be tricked out of their positions because they was already like grassroots and doing their own thing. And I don't think that they did because you don't really hear anything about those young men. Um, so I hope that that energy could stay like that. You know what I mean? Whereas even if they are out there getting in trouble, I don't they didn't allow a label to trick them out of their position to send them out. That's what I'm saying. And so that's my prayer that a lot of these young men do not allow these labels, allow uh, uh, the thought of having wealth and fame um, to trick them out of their positions. You can never come up off of nobody else's back. When you build sand castles, when you do what Straight Dropping them did, you build a sand castle. Any sand castle, any castle that's built on sand cannot stand because it is not built on a solid foundation. And it's so unfortunate that people don't understand that, okay? But anyways, hey, I'm glad that Young Dolph's family got justice, but I still have a heart. I have children that are exact age of straight drop, and um, hey, it hurts me to know that, because I know that these kids, when Straight Drop did this, he was still basically a baby. He was a young adult. And like somebody was saying, these kids' brains and stuff are not fully developed until they're 25, 26 years old. Okay. So they do stuff and they're immature. Um, with Cornelius did it, because he allowed being um under the influence and stuff to really control him. Okay. And so, like I said, it's very unfortunate, but hopefully there can be some lessons learned. There's a lot of talent in Memphis. I love it when I see these little dudes come up out of Memphis. When I hear that Memphis sound, I've been getting back into like the old. I wish some of the older rappers that came before, like Gangsta Pat, like 3 6. Like I see Project Pat putting his time in. He doing his thing. I love that. Some of these other rappers like Gangsta Black and all of them, I really wish Frazier Boy, all of these young men that built the foundation, these dudes that we see now in Memphis, they stand on the shoulder of these guys. I really wish that some three 8 Ball and MJG definitely. I really wish that we could start back. We need to start back supporting them and getting having them to speak to these rappers and educate these rappers, because they definitely stand on their shoulders. But I mean, I love Memphis. And so that's why when people say, well, it's a North Memphis, South Memphis thing, yeah, that was a competition. But I mean, I I'm just gonna say this. I've been a Memphian my whole damn life. It ain't like people that was scared to go South Memphis, people was scared to go in North Memphis because they was getting shot down. That was not happening. It's not like what you saw in LA where, the Crips couldn't go into the blood. That was not happening. And it's still not happening. People that live in South Memphis are is not scared to go over to North Memphis to the grocery store or something like that because they're gonna get knocked down. That's not happening. It's not. And so when people say that, that's what I think about. Yeah, the rappers always had some type of competition. But if you think about it, even with the competition, a lot of times they would still do features on each other's albums. I think it's just kind of bad all over the city of Memphis now at this point. It's just kind of bad all over the city of Memphis. So it's not just a North Memphis, South Memphis thing. East Memphis has gotten bad. Uh, there are other little places. I think that's it. East Memphis, hell, even they even are bad in Cordova now. So, but either way, there's a lot of talent because Memphis has an acquired sound. And I'm telling these young men and young women, don't miss a step, right? Don't miss a step. Everything is a process. Everybody want it fast. They want a microwave type of success. Don't miss no steps. Sit on this stove and let it cook. And when you do that, you're able to learn the business. We can't be taking out leaders like Young Dolph just because you think, right, that it's going to be better for you. It's not going to work out for you. It's not. You just can't create that type of bad karma. But we just can't take out leaders like that that could actually teach you the recipe. It is these young African American men and women that keep the hip hop culture going, but they're the ones that's not getting any wealth. Do not allow. We need leaders like Young Dolph that understands that fame and wealth is not supposed to be disassociated. What they're giving these African Americans, young men and women, is the fame for a little while, but they're disassociating the wealth, even though they're putting in the work and got the talent. That's not how it's supposed to be, right? So that's why we cannot shoot ourselves in the foot and try to come up off of the back of taking out a leader. We just can't do that, right? But I wish everybody the best. It ain't no North Memphis, South Memphis thing to me. I'm South Memphis to the core. because that's where I grew up at, straight up in the hood in Clementine. Okay, God blessed us. We was able to move when I was about 11 or 12, but I still have family in the hood. I was always in the hood around Parkway and stuff. So um over in around Tulane, that's my folks still live over there. So um I listen, hey, I like I said, I love Memphis. My dad and them didn't move to the Whitehaven area until he was 17, which means he grew up in North Memphis. The house that my dad and them grew up in, my dad bought that house, right? And now my auntie has it, right? Um they still, I mean, around New Chicago, Scudderfield, that area, Smoky City, those areas, that's where they grew up at, right? So he basically grew up in North Memphis because they didn't move until he was 17, my aunties and them. So my grandfather's family is still over there around the North Memphis area. So that's why I say ain't nobody scared to go to North Memphis, because if you live in South Memphis, you more than likely got aunties and stuff that live in North Memphis. Yeah, there was always a competition, but it ain't like it was in California where you couldn't go in certain hoods. They was gonna knock you down. No, that's not happening. I've been around a long time. I'm in my 40s. I'm gonna tell you it damn well it ain't happening. It wasn't happening. I don't know if it's happening. It just started happening. I don't know. But it wasn't happening as long as I can remember. Hell, I even worked for the police department. I never heard about that. Shit. But anyways, you guys, I want you guys to please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to support the channel, you could definitely support the channel via Cash App.